Hi, Earthlings. Okay, now I'm just going to do a quick update. There's been a little bit of a disturbance in the force. My phone got bugged, and so because of this, it's very cold. Because my phone got bugged, I had to do a reboot on my phone, a reset. And of course, I've spent all day trying to get everything back. I had to create myself another email account, and then it wouldn't let me into my. And then I made a mistake when I was doing my YouTube call sign and name, and I got it mixed around the wrong way. So I have two channels now, and I couldn't get onto my original channel. So I did an experiment to see if I could upload, and I don't think it's actually working. So I tried to upload on my new channel. That did work. I'm going to now try to upload again on my old original channel. So, of course, the one that you guys all know me on is Sacred Dreamer is Restoring Paradise Developments at Sacred Dreamer. The new one I've started up is Sacred Dreamer at Restoring Paradise Developments. Now, of course, if you'd love to, I'd love you to subscribe to both, because you never know if something goes chaotic at any stage. I could switch to the other channel and that would be cool. So in the meantime, I just wanted to reaffirm a couple of things. One is, I hope everybody's practicing asking the question to the universe: how does it feel? How does it feel to be respected? How does it feel to walk in a loving environment? How does it feel to only have people around me who genuinely care about me? And let the universe create the levels that you're going to be on. The levels, right? So some are down here, and some are up above, and some are next level higher. And we've got all these different levels going on. We're in a third dimensional universe, manifestation of the universe, our voice, universe, single voice. And remembering that the conjunction was, we have at the 10th degree in the zodiacal house of fate, Logos, which is the word, and Clotho, conjunction with our sun and moon when it was at the time of no moon. And Clotho also, I heard an English term and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Clotho. But spinning a yarn, people spinning a yarn. Now, a lot of people spin a yarn to defame a person's character, defamation of character. They're telling lies. So there's the yarn spinners who are telling lies, and then there's the beautiful tapestry that Clotho, who is a star, is weaving, and that is the fate that will be determined. So it doesn't actually matter if other people are spinning a yarn and going for defamation of character, because in the end, your star, who you are in spirit, the everlasting part of us, is not the stories that people made up about us. It's not just us in our lifetime, but just think about all the people throughout history who have been turned into the bad guy, because remember, the victor writes the history and distorts things to make the others the bad guy. Example, natives, primitives were savages, or some were, but not to say that the civilized weren't savages either, because, boy, their kill rate is high. Now, moving along from narratives like this, I want you to keep up the words that we're using in the creation that we are creating. Now, another thing, I was listening to a podcast, and this gentleman was speaking about Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. So remembering in Genesis 1, our Creator created and everything was good. So he divided. Oh, I've got the getting download. In the beginning, our Creator created. So he divided the darkness and he created the light. And he divided the waters into the waters above and the waters below. And he created the firmament, and he created the animals, and everything that he did was good. And he said to himself, our Creator was like, and it was good. And, and created the trees, and it was good. And everything he did, he was like, good job. He did a good job. And then he rested, and the second Genesis is when the Elohim have descended upon the earth. Interesting, in the first book it doesn't describe when our Creator created the angels, but that is written in other books. So the Elohim, they descended to the earth upon the mountain Hebron, and came across they saw these women that they liked, and they were going to take them, especially Samuel, and Lilith eloped with him, and apparently the mythology is that Lilith was supposed to be the partner of Adam. So anyway, coming off into this second Genesis division, separate the splicing portion of things, creating mermaids, centaurs, satyrs, chimeras, many combinations. Of course, the centaurs were the workhorses. So those centaurs were the ones that were put to work, because they were like the pack horse, as well as they had their hands that they could work with and stuff like that. So their jobs for the fallen angels / gods / aliens was primarily to be that pack horse, that workhorse. Now, I wanted to say in the second Genesis that they were talking about the tree of this podcast was talking about the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, our Creator, when he created, everything was good. Good, good, good. Not good and evil. So as I was listening to that, I got the idea that, my God, they did something. They genetically did something to the tree of life to create the tree of good and evil. Or the good tree, they did something and created evil. Evil, the reflection of live, the mirror of live. You know, there's something in that word. It's like live backwards sort of stuff. And I am assuming, I think that the Elohim gene spliced or, mucked around, did a CRISPR on the from the tree of life, creating the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the being that it was it was live in reverse, the eating from the tree created a live in reverse kind of a situation with knowledge. But that's a little bit too far, isn't it? Okay, so because my phone mucked around and I had to reset it, I lost a lot of photos and some things stayed. And I was looking through some old videos that I did still have, and a couple of them I might actually, that's all I've got on my phone now, I might actually upload. They're from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, so they're getting into the old. But 2020, but yes, I went through a very harrowing experience, and I think I'm going to document it publicly. So I've got the documentation on my phone, and for some reason that saved itself. And what I would like to do is do a brief documentation of it, just a short story, to bring you through my process in a visual kind of a way, so that you too are able to see that you can overcome, because we're working on our plateau right now. And one of my old videos I was talking about, which was in the year 2021, it was it was in the eclipse cycle of the Scorpio Taurus, and I was talking about the midpoint, and how when we got to the midpoint, instead of there being a lunar eclipse where the moon turned red, what actually happened was a shadow was cast upon the moon, just as sort of darkness. And that's when King Charles had already prearranged from the year before to have his crowning. So he got crowned during a shadow eclipse. There was specifically chosen. Royalty is big on eclipses and the birth at an eclipse, and all sorts of stuff goes on with those guys. That's their power. There's a lot of power with that for them. Or they use it in some way. Oh, please excuse me. And I was saying that it was odd, because usually we have the example, the new moon in Taurus is the seed, and the seed grows through the waxing, the growing of the moon to the full moon, and then at the full moon there's the outpour of the seed. So the seed grows to the manifestation at full, and then it outpours. But after that, shadow time, and we're still in it, but I think it's just happening that we're coming out of it, because to me, if there's such a thing as a blue moon, it is here in this time that we're in right now, when we've got two moons in the same zodiacal house. So this year we've got two moons in the zodiacal house of Capricorn, and then also the change occurs where the new moon comes first on the axis to the full moon. Example, it is new moon in Cancer, waxing to full in Capricorn, and that is how it normally is, and how I used to always read about it for astrological growth purposes. You set your intention here, it grows, and here it is at its fullness, and then it outpours. So anyway, during this shadow period that we have been going through, it was sort of, we were on a dog leg. So instead of it being a straight line axis, it it was like it was last month, where we had new moon in the house of Gemini, full moon in the house of Capricorn. And the full moon is the leader and was leading from that time. And so what was happening is our intention hasn't mattered for all that time since Charles' coronation at the shadow eclipse. The only intentions that were coming into fruition were the ones outpoured by the moon itself at full. So first of all, it was the full moon in Capricorn, and then it comes to the new moon in Cancer. That's the power of the moon's intention at its fullness, and it's pushing all those seeds. So since that time of the king's coronation, we've been seeded with the intention of our Father of all souls, our Sun, and Luna, the power of our psyche. And this is all embedded into our mind, our brain, our cerebral cortex. It goes through our spinal column. It is the neural pathways, which is the limbic system. It gets us in motion. And now we're going to live what has been implanted in us. So it's not the same for me as it is for you, as it is for everyone else, and yet the intention is the same. So let's example say oak tree, and the full moon psyche outpoured oak acorns, sorry, and everyone and they just, all the acorns, all upon the earth. Now every single little acorn grows, but not one of those trees is exactly the same as another. There's a variance for everyone. One might be in a place that's very windy. Just reminds me that Jesus, our Saviour, gave us an example of this, of the throwing of the seed, and some landed on the road, some landed, on the curb, some landed, in cracks, and some landed in areas where they were able to grow profusely. So everything's been seeded, and now it's our turn to nurture the seeds that we were given, and they're going to grow within us. We've been going through a really, really important time in the cycle of the earth. Now, I think I've finished everything that I'd like to say for this moment in time. And like I said, I'm going to try and upload some of these old videos that I've chosen. I'm going to do my best. They might be on the new channel, or if I'm lucky, they'll be on my original channel. And so far I haven't had a success on my original channel, but I'm hoping for the best. And if I can carry on with my original channel, I'll be a very happy girl. So in saying much love to you all, and remembering that there might be those bad actors who are spinning a yarn, but don't get wrapped up in the lies. Just ignore. because you are concentrating on speaking the truth, remembering that our heart is weighed with the feather of truth when it comes to Judgment Day upon our death. And either your little star gets to live up in the heavens, influencing upon the earth, being a good influencer, or it gets eaten by Sobek the crocodile and no more star. So it's up to you. And you've always got the opportunity to change at every second of every moment of every of your living life, all right? So you never give up. You never like, oh, it's too late for me. I've been so bad. Because we do have a Saviour. His name is Jesus ben Pantera. Everyone calls him Jesus. Lots of people try to call him Joshua. That's some war guy. Don't worry about Joshua. But Jesus or Esu, which sounds like Esu, doesn't it? Remember the twins of Jacob and Esu. Now, try not to get too, and sorry, I'm just going to say, remember all the magic that Jacob did as well. Jacob, he becomes Israel, doesn't he? And he wanted all the spotted goats, so he used to put all these little nicks into the twigs so that they looked like white and dark. The bark was dark and the inside flesh, and he would chuck that into the water and get the goats to drink it, and sympathetic magic, and the goats would drink it, and then they'd be popping out all these spotted babies. And by the time he got to leave Laban, the father of Rachel and Leah, he had like this massive herd. He overpopulated. His goats were plentiful, more than Laban himself, and yet in the beginning Laban's goats were just the pure goats. They didn't have the speckled. Every now and then a speckled came. So he said to old Jacob there, he was like, oh, you can have the speckled ones. Jacob was like, okay, yeah, we'll see what happens now. So yeah, remembering, don't get overcome by those who are spinning yarns about you. And remembering that after this full moon in Capricorn outpour, it starts again on the sort of like, I'm going to say the normal cycle, but I don't want to, but the cycle that I was first taught, and that is we have a new moon, it grows, well, we're in it right now, this is the first one, this Cancer to Capricorn, so we have the new moon in Cancer, it waxes and grows, so our intention, which is why we are learning about Clotho and Logos fate. Clotho was at the conjunction of the sun and moon at no moon seen. And what did we have? We always have someone at the destiny point. Oh, that's right. It was Aphrodite, wasn't it? So Aphrodite, I'm sorry I haven't studied a little bit more about her. But that's where our destiny's at. So I am going to study more about it. It's difficult because they've mixed everything up and they're like, oh, Aphrodite is Venus and blah, blah, blah. It makes things very tricky. But astrologically speaking, they're separate, and of course they have separate names, and there's they're not the same. So I'll be back with a little bit more as soon as I can information with Aphrodite. I think I've got one actually. I'll pop a video in. It's about what I was talking about here. It was a Leo, either full moon or new moon. It was about pride, and it was like when I started to come back to life, and because I lived a long time in the void, which is a internal reality. But anyway, I will share those videos, a couple that I've got, and I'm sending you my love. Okay, much love, ka kite.